Thursday, November 21st, 2024, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Well, we talk about mostly economics and markets, precious metals here, but we always link it to history. And I think it's really important because if we don't look at what happened in the past, we can't really understand what's happening now and what could happen in the future. And it's one of the reasons I've been warning about the UK debt time bomb for over 7 years. And I've also been warning about the UK economic collapse 2021 and beyond. I think it's something that is inevitable. And why is that? Well, it's because things go in cycles. And I think Great Britain has had if you want to call it, a glorious 1,000 years. But unfortunately now things are unraveling. And is it a sign that things are going to be horrible here on these islands? I don't think so either, because I'm not a pessimist. I'm a realist, and I also think that things go in cycles. There's times for everything, but right now we're going through a bad patch. And I think silver is telling us that. And you might think, what do you mean? Well, we need to look at the history of the currency that is used here on these islands, and it's been used for 1,000 years. At least the name has been used, and that is sterling, or the British pound. A pound of sterling that used to be divided by 240 pennies or pennyweights. Of course, that went out the window in 1971 with decimalization, but that was a symptom of the downfall of the money that we use. And money is really important in a civilized society where there is indirect exchange, specialization. That leads to prosperity. But when you destroy the money, that all goes out the window. And that's why I have hope for the future, because we can always rebuild the monetary or currency system really easily if we do it right. And that's a big if, of course. And I was looking at the chart of silver and sterling recently. And of course, in US dollars, silver is still below the high from 2011, which was around 50, and the high in 1980, which is around the same level. But as you can see in sterling or British pounds, we're right now at almost 25 pounds, 24.66. And the high in 1980 was, well, what was the high then? 2102. And it's interesting that in recent years, you can see that there is a big resistance there around the 2021 level. You kind of wonder if our monetary powers that be keep an eye on this ratio of silver to the British pound. I'm sure they do at the Bank of England. Is it any wonder that silver is traded on the LBMA? And of course, we all know what kind of trading they do there. They don't really trade silver. They just control the price of silver versus the fiat sterling, right? Or fiat British pounds. But I think they're running out of rope. And why is that? Well, because things can't last forever. You can't manipulate things forever. And in this case, it's been other powers, other countries that want real physical silver. And this is going to lead to an even greater collapse of the British pound versus silver. And why is that important? Well, because we're going to look at the 1,000-year history, really, of sterling, and why it's so important. Because silver really has been money up until very recently. The last 70 or 80 years in the UK has been an aberration. Why do I say 70 and 80 years? Well, because up until 1946, well, from 1920 to 1946, we still had coins that had 50% of the content of the coin in silver. So there's still a link to sterling, and we're going to come to the etymology of the word sterling in a minute. So here we got George VI. It's 2 shillings from 1939. 2 shillings can also be called a florin. It used to be, of course, 24 pence, 2 shillings, 12 pence to the shilling, 24 pence to 2 shillings, or the florin. And prior to 1920, of course, we had, well, I have a 2 shillings or a florin from 1918. It used to be the sterling standard. And today I'm going to show you as well a coin from 1,000 years ago from Ethelred II. It's a silver penny. And Ethelred ruled from 978 to 1016. So we have 1,000 years history of silver being used as money, much older than gold as money, really. Gold really, I would say, came into the system more after the Bank of England was created. So we've got the Ethelred penny here. And I bought this coin. Well, I didn't buy it as to invest in silver. This is more of a collector's coin, of course, even though I'm still stacking silver and I'm not concerned about the VAT, because as you can see in this chart that I showed you just earlier, I started stacking silver back in 03. And yes, I was a bit miffed about the VAT, but I'm not concerned about it anymore. And personally, I don't think you should be concerned about paying VAT on silver. And I would definitely not buy unallocated silver or stored silver where you don't pay VAT, because I wouldn't trust the people who run these businesses to really have the silver when you need it. And I think we're getting to a point where they will pay you if something goes wrong in the system, but it won't be with silver. It will be with paper that will be almost worthless. So let's look at the etymology of the word sterling. I just did a Wikipedia search, pound sterling, etymology. There are various theories regarding the origin of the word sterling. Well, that's the other thing about the origin of words. It's not clear-cut, but according to the Oxford English Dictionary, it states that the most plausible etymology is a derivation from the Old English stora, or star, and the added diminutive suffix ling to yield little star. The reference is to the silver penny used in Norman England in the 12th century, which bore a small star. So I weighed this coin with my little scale here. I recommend this scale. You can buy scales that weigh a lot more. I have a bigger scale, but for one coin like that, this is all you need. It's up to, how many grams have we got here? This one, I'm not sure, but anyway, it came up to 1.6 grams. And I looked at the silver penny, and it's actually 1.55. It probably rounded it up. And then I was curious and I multiplied 1.55 by 240, and I got like 370 odd grams, and I converted that into pounds, and it didn't give me a pound. It gave me, I'll tell you what it gave me. It gave me, I think, something like 0.82 of a pound. And then I had to look up the pound and what happened to the pound. Well, the 240 pennies to 1 pound, they were Tower pounds, and that was changed by Henry VIII to the Troy pound, and the Troy pound was worth a bit more, and that's why if you look 240 pennies to the pound now, it's like 0.82. It's because it's not the Tower pound. And one interesting thing, though, I did some calculations with the florin, or the 24 pence of 1918, and it should have been about 37.2 grams if it had the same standard of this 1,000-year-old coin, but it doesn't. It only has 10.5. So we've already had some currency debasement over the centuries. So the florin right now is 0.435 grams per penny, right? Because if you take the weight, 10.54, you divide it by 24, you get 0.435 grams per penny. Well, this penny was 1.55 grams, so there has been a debasement of around 3.5, 3.7, or 350%. But that's over 900 years. But in the last 100 years, we've gone from the 925 sterling standard, which, yes, had been debased from 1000 AD, but we gone to 50% in 1920, and by 1947 all the silver was out. So what I'm trying to tell you here, is it any wonder that the British economy has gone from an empire, a very wealthy, prosperous economy, to where we're now? I don't think so, and I think it's all got to do with the money. Yes, you could talk about socialism. Well, socialism is a big part of it, because socialism is it's an authoritarian governmental way of running things, and the only way to do that is with fiat currency, because under a sound money system, I think the public are relatively free. I'm not saying things over the last 1,000 years have been perfect before the last 100 years, but I think it's much easier to manipulate things when a small group of people control the currency and the money. So all the reasons were given: immigration, Brexit, the public sector, taxation. It's all got to do with the money, and I think all you need to do is keep an eye on the price of silver in sterling or British pounds, because it's really an indication of where we are as an economy, as a society. So what do I think is going to happen eventually? Well, and you might think, well, but silver isn't money anymore. Well, it has been for millennia, and in Britain it has been important for 1,000 years, and it's going to come back. What we've had in the last 67 years is an aberration, and I think it's going to come back in the human psyche. And the bull market in silver is going to be one, and in gold for that matter, is going to be one not of euphoria, but of fear. And why do I say that? Well, it's the fear of the collapse of the fiat currency. And it's a crisis that I think happens once every 1,000 years. It's been a long, long road to the point where our money is not real anymore. It's like a promise to pay with nothing. And the only reason we accept the money is because it's forced upon us through legal tender law, and is forced upon us through taxation, that we can only use that currency, the Bank of England note, whatever you want to call it, to pay our taxes. So that's how I see it. You might not agree with me, but I'm going to keep stacking as much silver as possible. What about something like the Ethelred II silver penny? Well, this is different. This is more of a collector's coin. I bought it last year at Coinex. It's usually in September. It's a coin exposition in central London. And it's more collectors or numismatic. I wouldn't, if I want exposure to the silver price, if I want to protect what you're trying to do with silver and gold for that matter, is not make a profit in a dying fiat currency. It's preserving your purchasing power. You might want to collect coins as well, like I do as well, but the bullion silver is the best to have. Britannia's silver ounce, 1 silver troy ounce of Britannia's. You might want to buy silver bars, but those are not coins of the realm, so they could be liable to capital gains. You need to do your homework, and you can always contact Gold Investments and talk to them about it. All their details are below in the description of all my videos, actually. So let's quickly look at where the markets are this morning. It's 9:30 a.m. London time. Gold's trading at 26.66. A lot of sixes there. That's spot gold, of course, up another 15 bucks. High's been 71, low is 48. Silver is up 15 cents at 31 exactly. The high's been 31.32. Yes, silver is frustrating, but I think patience is the name of the game with silver. What about the stock market indices? Dow futures is down 130. The NASDAQ 100 futures is down 140. And the S&P is down 32 points. So the stock market is not performing too well. I think NVIDIA came out with their results. They were pretty much in line, I think, but their forward guidance wasn't very good. Sterling or the British pound, yeah, it's not real sterling, right? It's an imposter. Well, that fiat currency is down a little bit versus the dollar, and the dollar is another imposter, of course, because it's just a promise, not real silver anymore. Well, anyway, we're at 126.28, down 0.2. The euro is down 0.2 as well, but the dollar is down 0.75% versus the yen. What about crude oil? Well, crude oil is up about 1%. WTI is trading at 69.50. Let's quickly look at the bond market. The 10-year yield is trading around 4.40, so not much change there. And the 10-year gilt yield is trading around 4.5%. That's fairly steady as well for now. And with that, I'm going to wish you all a very good day. Take care. Bye.